Crazy how life works. Highs and the lows, the sky ain't the limit for me, it's just a goal. Convinced we were merely just a shell with a soul. Can I talk my shit, dawg? High when I make my hits, who knew success would ever taste like shit? I'm getting used to the change, hit resume, I ain't new to the game. Ask yourself, what would you do with the fame? Would you lose yourself, get off a million, then still choose yourself? Cut the pie and distribute the wealth. They can't talk like this, they got a limp. They can't walk like this, they guns bleeding, they don't floss like this. I think I'm changing the game. Can you see, look how far we done came. Man, this shit is not the same. It's different.
Where we at?
The greatest city on earth. The happiest place on earth.
This is where it all happens. This is where the magic happens.
This is where the magic happens. You see, we got frisbees around. There's been kids back here. There's been dogs back here. A whole lot of life.
Oh, well, this is it's a blessing to be here, to see what you created.
Come on.
And I'm really just ready to dive into this, man. Larussell, what's happening? It's different.
Yeah.
Man, well, I'm so excited to be here. I mean, we're actually sitting in your backyard. I mean, how did all of this happen? The backyard sessions happen?
Man, through desire, not wanting to be told no, having to build our own infrastructure so we don't gotta go ask nobody to use theirs.
And just thinking of that concept of, wasn't that like kind of scary for you to like step out, for you to do something like that? To me,
not necessarily at this point in my career, because I've been doing it like the entire time. Just to get to this point has been a bunch of me doing crazy shit, doing new shit, taking crazy risks that doesn't really make sense. So coming into this one, I was pretty confident. I knew if I built it, people would come to it for certain.
That's dope. I love your confidence. Tell me what it was like on the first time, because I think you started in June. What was it like originally? Like, how did it flow?
The first one was beautiful because it was my mom's birthday. So it was half family and half like fans and supporters. So it just felt like a big ass family cookout. And just the energy was high. We was smoking. Just everybody was chilling. There was a jumper outside, the kids playing. Like, it was just high energy, a good time.
Yeah, because I seen those videos of the backyard sessions, and the energy is amazing.
Yeah.
It like, for me, it was just so inspiring to see, because like I said before, I haven't seen anyone do something like that. But I also want to know, is this where you actually like live currently?
Yeah. Yep.
So okay. So this is what I got to know. So a lot of people, when they're young, they want to move out.
Right.
You decided to say, I'm going to stay home. So why was that important for you to plant your roots here and to stay?
I mean, initially I didn't have the resource to move out. And since I didn't have the resource to move out, I'm not going to just not be successful because I can't make it to LA or New York. Like, it's like I'm going to figure it out. So initially it was just the lack of, and we're like, this is where we are. We're going to figure out what we could do where we are with what we have, right? And naturally, as that grows, you start to realize, I have all the resources I need here. I didn't have to go there. I just had to put in more work. I had to exert more effort. Like, we had to do a lot more to be seen here because no one was looking this way. But naturally, just through us having a lack of resource, we created it.
I love that, because you're basically saying I used what I had. You took your surroundings. You said, I'm going to use this, I'm going to use that, and I'm going to create something.
Exactly.
And now you're having people coming from all over, like you said. We good, man.
I hate it here.
It's Diddy, y'all.
No, 1 second. Yo, I'm in the back. Come through the back.
That's what's up.
It's Diddy.
It's Diddy. So being that you live here, tell me exactly like what happens at your house, like every day. Like, what goes on?
Day to day, there's usually someone working on content, probably a couple of us working on content. That's cutting clips, captioning clips, getting them scheduled, shit like that. Biz ops, so we're looking at what we're doing next. Me and Tieta take a lot of meetings and sit in a bunch of different meetings with partners and people we're building with. Millie, Sarai, Fonnie Cam, we're usually working on merch. That's keeping the website updated, shipping out orders, packing order, pressing orders. My mom is usually packaging CDs and delivering shipments, so deliver all the locals and taking shit to the post office. Just yesterday we were all here filming like a live performance session for a partner of ours. It just depends, but for the most part, that's like the consistent flow of what's happening here.
It seems like this is like the headquarters.
Yeah, this is headquarters.
So this is like the good company.
Yeah, we have a studio space too where we shoot like content at, but this is for the most part where all the work kind of gets done.
Wow, love it. So being that everything you live here, everything is happening. Did you ever have like at the time of like when you really wanted to maybe get out to LA and meet all these people, did you ever have like an ego like, man, I'm gonna have to start at my home first? Was it like an ego anywhere inside where you felt like?
I never really wanted to go to LA or New York to meet people. I felt like I had to, right? And that was the feeling of like, fuck, I gotta leave home. But it was never a desire of mine. I never wanted to. I just thought that's what I had to do early. So it was like, damn, eventually, I'm gonna have to get out of here if I want to make it. But that was a myth.
Most definitely it was. Not only was it a myth, I think one thing that's special about you is that you're authentic and you have a humility that I think a lot of people, it inspires them. And I wanted to ask, how do you stay so secure in who you are when hip hop can be hard? Hip hop can, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, you talked about before in your interviews, you don't wear jewelry, you are the jewelry. There's so many things that you said that was so like, it makes you think. So how do you stay secure and authentic to who you are?
To me, that's just the easiest thing to do. It's harder to wear a mask and create something that you're not and act like something that you're not and change your voice and speak. That's a difficult thing to do time after time again. I remember when I found out Michael Jackson had a real voice and not the voice that we knew. And it just made me have so much empathy because I'm like, damn, he lived his whole life and had to put on this voice because of whatever he felt was the reason for it. I can't do that. You feel me? So being authentic just comes, that's the easiest thing for me to do. I wake up and get out of bed and this is the first person I am. So to me, it's just the easy choice. It's like putting on sweats versus having to get dressed up in a suit.
Right. Taking that mask off. I love that. And even with who you are and how you carry yourself, I read as well that you had family that was former Black Panther. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I want to know if that is true, how much of that like has impacted you with how you rap, with how you speak?
I think the influence is more like through blood than through witnessing, right? Because I didn't get to witness that era. It's just story. It was told to me, right? My grandfather was gone by the time I was of age to even get that. But hearing the story kind of validated a lot of things for me of my interest. I feel like it was something that I'm naturally revolutionary. There's just a lot of things that I care about that I don't fully understand why I do certain things, but certain things bother me differently, and that may be something that's just through lineage.
And speaking of what you just mentioned, your name, I think it was your first name. It might be a real name, Toda. And I want to know where Toda Shakur came from, because what does that symbolize? And does it have any ties to Pac? Because I'm curious.
Right, so the Shakur part was added later on. It was originally just Toda, and I was just like a name. Everyone from the neighborhood has a name, right? That was just my name that I went by, that I lived through and lived by. And Shakur was added later on because I just love Tupac. That's one of like my favorite people, so I thought it sounded good together, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually, as I progressed through life, I just wanted to kind of be in my own skin. I didn't want to be Tupac no more, or a moniker of myself. I wanted to be myself.
Right. In Tupac, I love Tupac as well, and you both have that similar. I'm not saying you are Tupac or you're just like him, but you have the energy of speaking your truth, not being afraid to use your voice.
Right.
What are some things that you are passionate about? Like, how Pac had his certain things he would rap out that he was passionate about, or things that he would want to change in the world. What are some things that you are passionate about that you say, you know what, I want to use this, I want to change something that I see in the world or the system? What is something that, what could that be?
everything. I think that's why I've been able to get to where I am, because I'm hyper passionate about everything. I analyze everything. Everything matters to me. I pay attention to everything. I'm watching things that most people aren't looking for. It's funny. I was talking about Ticketmaster months ago, and I did an EYL interview, and I was telling them how Ticketmaster had just been fucking up the game and for artists and infringing, right? And a couple weeks ago, there was like this article that came out and it was like Ticketmaster under fire for fees in it, and all of the homies is like, bruh, like you a fucking prophet. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, I just have eyes and I'm looking at everything and I care about everything, right? Shit like that. So I don't think there's any specific thing for me. I'm just as shit come about as I'm living, my heart is like, that's an issue. Am I going to do something about it or am I not, right? Like we did the restaurant because I see a lot of homeless people in Vallejo and around, and I know they don't get the chance to eat. And if I don't do something, they may never get the chance to eat, right? We can't, the government's not helping them. So it's like, let me try to do something.
Right. And how did that actually start? Because you're only, I mean, you say 27 years old?
28.
28 years old, you're young. And I love that about you too, that you saw a need and you're like, I'm going to help fill it with the position that you're in. So how did that come about?
Man, today, me and my best friend was walking to get my daughter, and I had this thought, and I said, are you looking for problems or are you looking for solutions? You usually always find what you're looking for, right? And a lot of us go through life pointing at the problems and finding all the problems, all the things that's wrong with something. And we never find solutions because all we're looking for is the problems, right? Wow. That's what we find. And yeah, that's just been, I think before I had that thought, that's just kind of been innately in me. I've always found the solution to shit. Like one of my favorite things to say is, I'll figure it out. Like, you know, all of me and my pops, all our early conversations about building business and shit, whether we agree or not agree, I'm like, I'll figure it out. Right. And I always do. Right. I'm a problem solver.
Right. Yeah. They say it's what is it? They say you have to. I'm trying to remember the quote that I said today, but it was something of you have to. People. It's like you try, fail, learn, succeed. Try, fail, but a lot of times at that failure part, people quit.
Right.
And you're saying I condition my mind to see that there's an opportunity within this obstacle. I think just like we were in the front and you're with your daughter and you guys are. I'm sure there was at first there was probably things you didn't understand and you're making it possible for her to see things. Like how did you get to that conditioning of learning how to do that? Because I think a lot of us struggle with seeing opportunities with so much negativity around us.
I've just failed a lot, and I love what I do, and I refuse to give up. So naturally, you're gonna figure it the fuck out, right? Like that's just my process. I refuse to not make it. So I'm gonna try everything possible, and some things aren't gonna work and some things are. Yeah. But through that, I learn all the things that do work. So when the next person wants to do it, I can show them all the things that worked, right? Mm-hmm. So now they get to start with a bunch of things that work, and they get to try new things and see what. So just me naturally, I'm going to try everything. Like I don't have too many ideas that I don't execute. Right? Like I got a bright idea guy, and it's just an idea. Like usually when I have an idea, it turns into this
creation,
right? So that shit has just been avid in me. I try everything.
So you try it, you go into the mode, and you do it. You don't talk about it. You literally.
I got a saying, and I say, "What we doing?" not what we saying. It's what we doing.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
We can say
not
stuff.
What are we saying? What are we doing? It's in the words.
It's in the words. So what are we doing? And that's exactly that. So you're learning how to take your failures. You're turning them into opportunities. And speaking of opportunities, there's so many people that actually have came here. I think L.A. Reid.
L.A. Reid didn't come here.
Okay.
He didn't come here.
But there's some other people.
There's been a ton.
There's a ton of people that have come here now. And I'm sure you're like, wow, I'm happy I didn't give up on my dreams. But I'm sure there were those people that they said different things, maybe that think it would be possible for you. In my life, being a skateboarder from Alaska, they said many things. I want to debunk some of those words. What are some things that people said about you that wouldn't be possible, that you did it anyway and you proved it wrong?
They said I couldn't get this far without a distro. Finna go platinum like Cisco. You know, we've had a lot of, you feel me? We've had a lot of just little naysay, and I don't ever think it's out of malice. Like, even my pops have had his doubts on certain things, not out of malice, but just out of experience. He's never seen it done. Why would he think it can be done, right? Sometimes some people cannot see something done and they're like, I could do it, but some people are like, bro, that's never been done. I don't think it might not be able to be, accomplished. So just regular naysay just throughout the journey. The shit we're doing now with the restaurant, there's so many. It was like, oh, you can't do the business, gonna fail this, and it's like, bro, we're doing something, right?
You're doing something.
If you're not doing nothing, you should just stay out the way of the people who are doing something. Save your comments and your information. It's not necessary. Right. It doesn't help the doing, right? But we're just doers. I'm just, I'm gonna work through it. Yeah. But we've had just several little comments inside things, and you always see stuff on social media, but. It's always from people who don't do, won't do, can't do, and ain't do what you've done.
You got me thinking. Well, yeah. And you're dismantling the old system. You're building new systems. And I think that's beautiful from your pay what you can. I think that's really dope, revolutionary, and also the fans could buy into your music as stock. Tell me how that happened. And I think you already mentioned in many interviews that it is lucrative, but again, a lot of us have fears to do that, like pay what you want, because we don't know what's going to happen. Are we going to go broke? So just explain how all of that happened, and if other artists start doing it, what could happen? A lot of
these things were like culminations of ideas, but happened in like a night of thought of like, I want to do this. Boom, this is what's going to happen. Like initially, I started with a Proud to Pay show. I was riding my bike, and Nipsey did the first Proud to Pay campaign. He created that whole thing, and he sold his album for $100 to everybody. He was like, the album's worth $100, you can come buy it. I knew that everybody around me didn't have $100, so I was like, how can I get everyone to support me, but not, at the cost of $100? Some people only have 10, so I was like, whatever you got, right? So instead of me making $0, I got 1,000 people giving me $10, right? So it shifts that, and from that we did a Proud to Pay show just so I could gauge the audience and see how do people feel, what would they pay at the door, and just as I scaled and I grew, I just realized the power of like commodity. I've always sent splits to my team members. Like everyone who works on a project, on some art or something with me, receives a percentage of revenue, right? So since I was already giving it to my team, it's like, oh shit, this is valuable. We could sell these things as well. This is someone's favorite song. They would love to own a piece of their favorite song and get paid off of it because they play it every day, right? So we were just the first ones to take that leap.
And I think you mentioned to another interview, you said something like there was another artist that did it, and you were like, you didn't even care to have your name mentioned that they did it or who went first. You were just like, I did it as well.
Right, because we were setting the blueprint. And sometimes homage matters to me and sometimes it doesn't. It only really matters to me if you take my exact blueprint, right? Then it's like, bro, at least say, hey, this is, thank you for setting the way, but no one has to do that as well. I'm understanding of that, but it's just the right thing to do, right? That way you build that environment and collective. But yeah, I think that I've done a lot of things that other people have done before me, but I've done it in innovative ways, but I'm always showing that love too. Like if I use something of yours or your blueprint, I have to let them know the source.
Right. Well, definitely. And I love that too, that you are setting a blueprint to tell the world you don't have to do the same thing that's been done the same. You can create your own. Right. You'd say, look, I'm at my home and you got people flying in doing interviews with you.
Disneyland.
And you have, like we talked off camera, you have other ideas. You don't have to talk about it right now, but you have other things in your mind that I'm like, that's a genius, $1 billion opportunity. So you're just saying that's just how are you getting to those ideas? Because people want to know that what's in their heart can come, but how do you get there? What is it? You said it off camera, but I want you to say what was that one principle that opens that door.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. You gotta love it, and you have to do the work. Everything comes as you do the work. First, you dig a hole, and after you get a big enough hole, you're like, oh, I could put water in here, and it's a swimming pool. Then after you get a pool, you're like, oh, I could have a pool party. Then after you have a pool, you're like, oh, people would pay to come to my pool party. Then you start building shit around it. But you don't get to the pool party part until you dig a hole first. And a lot of people won't start digging a hole. So the ideas don't just come. They come as you execute other things. And that's how all innovation works. The first person made an iron, which was just steel. It was iron. And then somebody came and said, hey, let's add a steam button. Then somebody said, oh, let's add a cord. So we got, right? So as the idea happens, you get to have more ideas to innovate it, but you have to do something first.
Right. So your concept isn't always maybe you do have the end result in mind, but your concept is, I'm going to start.
Right. I seldomly have the end result in mind. Right. I'm just like, this is what I want to do. Once I do that, I'll figure out the next thing to do, right?
Well, I love that. Like I said, a lot of people don't have that mindset, and I think we're learning, especially now with everything is really motivational. And I know that's not your angle of things. I also know that you're a big avid reader, and I want to dive into that life-changing book that changed your life. I want to know. What were some key principles out of that book that kind of switched gears for you that helped you think a little bit differently about life?
The Freedom Simplified was like the first text that changed my life. It's not really a book. It's like a little pamphlet. It was like, well, the person who gave it to me printed out on computer paper and stapled, and it was like, just read this, right? And it was like a PDF pamphlet. And it just made me look at life differently, like it was a lot of Buddhist texts and Buddhist principles. And the thing with Buddhism, what they do is like they never remove the man from it, right? Like Jesus was walking on water, the nigga was moonwalking on water. That's not anything I feel like is possible for me. But through Buddhist texts, everything that they do is just normal shit. Right? It just feels like I could do these things. I could sit and I could meditate and I could breathe and get in my space. These are all things that's possible to me. Right? So that book just really gave me more of a sense of life than a way that I felt it prior. Prior to reading that, I was just more consumed with the world.
So were you more present? Is that what you're saying with life?
Not necessarily, just more understanding of life, and the things that mean stuff to you alters, right? Like as you grow and you learn, what means the most to you starts to change and shift. Like early on, you may love cars and you want the nicest, flashiest car and chain, and you just want attention and people to notice you. And then as you grow, it becomes a little less about that, and you want more things that kind of fulfill you and make you feel good, like you're on a different type of mission. So my reading just kind of realigned a lot of my missions here.
And as you are successful in a lot of different ways, what gives you that fulfillment now?
Doing science with my daughter. That's cool shit. Picking my daughter up from school and dropping her off and working on like building human relationships, right? Like being a decent person. Everything else is just everything else is easily attainable. I can make money easy. I could drop an album today and make money, right? I could drop a book tomorrow and make money. Those are very easy things. It's easy for me to get commodities. I just have to do that work. But like transforming yourself into like a better person and cultivating relationships that people don't have to heal from you, or like real fulfillment, right? To be a good person is the ultimate fulfillment.
Right. To
be able to sleep because you know you did well and you treat everyone well, right?
And speaking of relationship, how has that changed as you're blowing up in where you're from? And is it you still got the same crew? Did people switch up on you? How is things?
I don't think anyone ever switches up on anyone. I think people just grow apart and head in different directions. I've had incredible people around me. Some of those people are no longer around me, but not because anyone switched up, just because we all grew in different directions and we all have different needs, and some just weren't sustainable. Some plants can't survive in the desert, some plants can't survive in the tropics, right? And the terrain that I was in wasn't sustainable for some members or myself, so it had to be removed. But never because anyone switched up. You know, there's just plenty of love, right? No one can switch up. People can only show you who they are. Yeah. I've realized lately that a lot of my relationships that have faltered or went south isn't because I've changed, but because I refuse to change, right? And a lot of people don't be understanding that. Like, a lot of
people, what do you mean by
like,
that? Refuse to change. What do you mean by that?
Like, I refuse to do the necessary changes to keep certain people around or to keep certain people happy or appeased. I refuse to change some of my ways for me to nurture a relationship. So it's not so much that I lost it because I've changed, but my refusal to change, right? I won't change in some aspects. I'm staying the same person I was, right?
Yeah. That's dope. That's incredible. It's incredible that you have this awareness at your age,
right? It's bad.
Sometimes
it's daunting.
No, I feel like you're like an old soul. Do people tell you that? Like you're like an old soul?
Definitely.
Like there's more coming out though. I think
sometimes the awareness is tedious.
Okay.
Right? Because when you're living life and you're not aware, you could do whatever and you could live with it and go on about your day. But now everything sits with you, right? When you're aware, everything fucking sits with you. Could pass up someone on the street who's like hungry and you wanted to give them money but you didn't, and now it's sitting with you the rest of the ride. You're like, fuck, I should have did. You feel me? So like with that awearness also comes
responsibility,
right? So much of it, right?
But I think you're handling it pretty well.
Some days.
Yeah, we're not perfect beings. I mean, we're human beings and we're constantly on a journey of evolution. We're constantly updating, I like to call. Got that from Kanye West, actually. That's what he said. He said we always updating. But with all the knowledge and wisdom that you have gotten and received so far, what's that one thing that just always helps you push forward if you're down, if you feel depressed, or any of those things? Because I know you even said in 2021, like, you had a horrible year. You know what I'm saying? Like, you said that in your book, Limitless, correct?
It wasn't horrible. I experienced a lot of things that was negative, that was hard to deal with, but it wasn't a horrible year.
Okay. Right. Well, how did you push forward through that? Because you said you almost died or something.
He who is willing is who will. He who is willing is who will. I'm willing to do everything
to get through.
So I will do everything.
Wow. You will get through. Wow.
Every time.
And with everything that you're getting through, and I also want to pivot to, I think people look up to you in a lot of different ways, and so I want to know, what do you think in your mind what it's going to take for all people, or for black people, whatever it's going to take to, I guess, unite and to come together as a people, even all people? What do you think that's going to take?
I think it takes double the work it took to destroy it.
Wow.
So however much time, effort, and energy you've put into separating people and destroying them and making sure we don't come together, it takes double and 3 times that amount of time, effort, and energy for us to rehabilitate.
That's some real stuff right there.
Right.
And what do you think that entails? Like, if you could, I'm not saying if you're the president or something, but what is that? What is that? That's double. I mean, what does that look like?
Naturally, it only entails desire to change. If people want to change, they'll change. But the systems we have in place don't want to change. These are people who have bombed entire communities of black people, of different people. All it takes is a desire to change. Hey, I want to be a better person. I'm going to start doing better. It takes no more than that. They don't have a desire to. Simple. Everything you've wanted to do in life, you've done.
Desire
Everything
and love.
I've wanted to do, I've done. You just have to want to do it. They don't want to do it.
Desire.
That's all it is. Desire.
Do they want to do it?
Do they want to do it? If you want to do it, you'll do it. Clearly, they don't want to do it. You gotta ask a nigga to do it. He don't want to do it. You would've just did it.
Wow. It's your words are simple, but they're deep. And when do you like how? Okay, I hear what you're saying, and I 100% agree. But how do we have to make that change for ourselves? We can't wait for them to make that desire. I mean, you see what I'm saying? I mean, is it?
You don't. I mean, that's why I'm feeding the community out of my own pocket for 2 months. Because I want to. I want things to change. I'm not going to wait on them to do it. I'm not going to wait for help. I'm just going to do it.
So it's like that Gandhi, be the change you want to see in the world. Literally.
Simple. It's simple as that. It's simple as that. You
Don't
wanted
wait.
to be the guy from Alaska that made it skateboarding, and you made that possible. Now there's another black kid in Alaska who's like, oh, I could do that because he did it, right? But if you would have waited until the world was like, no, we want a black skater from Alaska, right? Then we would have all been doomed.
100%.
Right? You just have to do that shit.
I love it. Your music, there's so many songs that I love.
Come on.
But most importantly, listening to your music, it is a call to an awakening. That's what I feel when I listen to it. It's like, wake up, wake up, wake up. So in what areas do you feel that people are asleep that need to wake up?
Every area. Every area. I think starting just like knowing how capable you are as a human, right? A lot of people don't understand the power they possess. You know, I've worked with so many people that had like skills and potential, but they didn't see it in themselves, so they just worked for somebody else and helped somebody else build their dream their whole life instead of building their own. I think that's a first step. Like once you realize kind of who you are and what power you hold, you're able to do grander things. You're able to tend to your mission differently, right? Like I'm here to do great things. Like I don't think I could do anything else. Nothing else fulfills me. Like everything I do has to be just it just naturally ends up big.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's just from me knowing I have the ability to do those things, right? I truly believe I can do anything. A lot of people don't walk around with that belief in themselves.
Belief. I think that's incredibly powerful because people can believe in you, but if you don't believe in you, it ain't happening.
Right? And it kind of has to switch from belief to like a surety, because belief is like you not knowing and hoping it's true, right? I believe it exists. I don't really know, but you feel me? And with me, and I shouldn't have used the term belief. It's not really a belief. It's I know.
But how do you know? Where does that come from? That I know, that assurance. Where does that come from? Because that's faith as well.
No, because faith is still like a reliance. Like faith is still a form of hope. You're having faith in some niggas still sit back and hope faith do it. I ain't have faith in it. You feel me? Like you gotta really there's no, it's either you gonna do it or you're not. You don't really have to hope for it. You ain't gotta have faith in it. Are you gonna do the work? I don't have to hope for a hole and hope I get a venue. It's like, bro, are you going to do all the things you need to do to get one? Right? Those aren't things you have to necessarily believe in. You just have to do it. Like I look now, I don't really have too many dreams anymore. Everything that would have been a dream to me then is now just a task to me. It's not a dream for me to do it. I put it on my wall. This is my checklist. This is what I'm about to do, right? It's just a task now. To most people, those things are dreams, right? And when you think something is a dream, you think you can only get it when you sleep.
Right. You ain't
feel
waking
me?
up to
Right?
the reality.
You're not waking up to it. Right, but when you live in it, it's just a living reality, and it just becomes a task. Everything is just a task, right? This venue is a dream to someone. They're like, I wish I could build it in my backyard. It's like, you don't have to wish for that shit. Go get some shovels. Go get some dirt. Go get some wood. Go do the work that you need to do, right? So just having that assurity in yourself and knowing that if you do the work, you'll get the result. There is no one in the world who does the work who don't get the result. No one.
You're right.
No one. There's not one nigga in this world who goes to the court and shoots 1,000 shots every day and gets worse.
Right.
No one. Right? If you do the work, you get the result naturally. You don't have to hope for it. You ain't got to wish for it. You ain't got to believe in it. You just got to go do it.
Wow. It's true. And I go back to like hearing about Oprah Winfrey, who they told her she wasn't fit for television, or if it was Walt Disney, who they said he wasn't creative enough. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So it's just about doing the work. It's just
right, and that's the thing with them. They knew they were. It didn't matter that you told me I wasn't creative enough. I know I am. It doesn't matter that you tell me I'm not fit for television. I know I am. I don't believe I am. I know I am.
I know I am.
Right, and they have
I am
that.
as powerful.
All of them.
Powerful. I know
all of
I am.
Kanye. They all had that knowing. I know I am.
I know I am.
Put that one on the shirt. I know I
am. That's super dope. I want to ask you this last thing before we get into a little game or whatever we're gonna do. What do you see the legacy of Larussell? 50 years later, what do you see you leaving behind? That impact.
A whole lot of equity. A whole lot of people are going to be very successful and have financial security due to the work that we did. Businesses and just a lot of people are going to have infrastructure that wasn't available prior. People are going to grow up in Vallejo and feel like I could make it and I could become so I don't have to move. I could do it from here, right? There's possibility. And just inspiration, right? The highest act is to inspire. And I think that's the greatest thing we leave. I think these interviews where I leave these little gems and these little quotes and things, that's like the greatest thing because those live for centuries. I still look up quotes from people who were here centuries ago. They still changed my life. So I think that's the grandest thing that I leave is the information and the blueprint. I left the blueprint on how to do it. Not only did I talk about it, I left an entire blueprint on how to do it. So the next 1,000 people can do the same thing. And now they can take my iron and add new features to it and make it even better.
That spark, almost like Tupac said.
Right.
You're leaving your spark.
Right.
Being that you're so authentic in music, I think we're living in a time now where we can take a lot of things personal. And a lot of people have been canceled for the things that they have said. So how do you feel about that with you being authentic? And do you ever fear that maybe you can say something that might get you canceled? Or is that, how do you feel about that?
I don't care. I don't care. I said what I said and I did what I did. And I think that people could be offended as much as they want about everything in the world. I come from a culture of people who's been prejudiced against, bombed, hung, lynched, all of the above, right? Systemically deprived. And I wake up every day and I'm not offended and I still have to continue my progress, right? So it's like people are going to do what they're going to do on this earth, right? It's not our job to try to judge and control and filter how people live their life, right? If you don't love something someone do, then go find someone else to be a part of, right? If you love what they do, then be a part of that. But I don't really care. I don't care, right? I don't care. I know I do a lot of things from the heart and from what I feel. If I said it, it's because that's what I felt and that's what I meant in the moment. That's just what it is.
Do you think we'll get back to that place in the future where we don't take so much things personal, or you think it's going to just continue to escalate?
No, I don't think so, because we've allowed it, right? After you allow something for so long, it becomes the norm. So no, I don't think so. I think the people who are cancelable will be canceled, and the people like the Dave Chappelle's and the myself will keep not giving a fuck and just go, we're going to do what we're going to do. If you feel away, that's unfortunate. I can't do nothing for you. We know who we are. I feed the fucking community. Cancel me. I don't care. You're not helping me do that. You feel me? So to me, no, I don't have a deep care. I know that I do things from the heart, and I know my own character.
Right, and I think also that confidence comes from, you've built your own. So it's, you're not
hard to take from a nigga that you didn't give to. Right? That's the thing with being canceled. Like, a lot of these niggas, they're going and making a pie and having to go back and redact on things that they truly believe in because they don't have any of their own infrastructure. They've allowed them people to feed them, so now those people can starve them. I feed myself. I go hunt for my own food.
Wow. You hunt for your own food. That's dope. And you're giving the blueprint. Again, you're giving that blueprint to people right now who are listening to say, if you want to be uncancelable, make your own. Build your own.
Right? You can't rely on their infrastructure, because they could take it at any time. That's why I'm not divisive when I hear, Adidas has pulled out on Kanye. Of course, that's their shit. You're gonna act how we want you to act if you come into my house, you have to act how I want you to act in my house. If you don't want to act how I need you to act in my house, then go build your own fucking house. Go back home. If you ain't got shit at home, it's because you spent your time building another nigga house. You should have built your own home, right? So it's very important for us to establish our own infrastructure and not rely on theirs. Because, you have to act accordingly. That's just how it's going to go all the time. I refuse to act any way other than myself, so I make sure I stay my black ass home. Right? Everything I need is here. So I could be myself everywhere I go. And when I'm here, I'm for certain going to be myself. I have my own infrastructure.
And is that how you rejected those big deals?
Definitely. I didn't want to have to deliver, right? I don't want to have to be something or be somebody or meet your criteria, what you think my career should be or how you think my life should go or what I should do with my journey. Some people early is like, no, bro, I released 22 albums in the span of 3 years. There's no one on a label who they will allow.
I haven't heard of it.
Will allow.
Wow. So you can't do that.
You gotta go ask. You gotta ask a nigga to put your art out. I'm not asking nobody to put my art out, bro. Like, that's insane. I'm not doing it, right? But when you allow them to when you help build their homes and you allow them to set all the terms, you have to act accordingly. You in my house.
And I heard in an interview you said you have the mindset of that you believe, you desire, you could be as big as a Drake and still be independent. How do you do that? Because we always think, you got to go to these big labels to get that exposure, that constant on the...
You have to do what they did ×3.
Got it.
If you want to be as great as Jordan, what do you have to do? You have to do everything Jordan did and do some more. And I understand that concept. Early on, we were doing ads and I was running like $5 a day. I was probably spending like $1,000 or so a month on that, $1,500, $2,000, right? One day I looked up Google's ad spend and it was in the billions. So now I spend about $30,000 a month just on ads alone. My goal is to spend billions. I'm as big as Google, right? People are flying all over the world. If I'm going to be as big as Disneyland, I need to spend what Disneyland is spending, right? But we shortchange ourselves. So nothing is impossible. You just have to do the same things plus some. If I want to be as big as Drake, I need to do everything Drake did plus some.
Plus some.
If I'm not willing to do that, then I'm not going to get that result, and I shouldn't wish for it.
Speaking of doing things plus some, I want to talk a little bit on entrepreneurship. And if you can give, I know you do a lot of this on your Instagram, which is giving constant gems, but I want you to give just like 5 tips for upcoming entrepreneurs in any industry. What can they do to get going? Just 5 tips that you would say, do these now.
Be consistent. If you want to be the greatest, you have to do it every day. If you don't do it every day, then someone's going to be better than you. Right? If you don't do it the most, don't expect to win. Someone's going to be better than you because they do it more than you. Really, go off what you feel like you're worth. Like, don't shortchange yourself. I could have played it safe and said, I'm not going to spend that much in ads because I don't know what's going to happen. No, I think I could be as big as Google. Fuck it. I'm going in, right? Like, you can't shortchange yourself. You have to know this is going to work because I said it's going to work. I'm going to make sure it works, right? And, just be yourself. Be as decent as you can be. I think that's the golden rule. It's like a lot of people are talented, but they're assholes. Or like some people are successful, but they're assholes. Or not even assholes, they're just lost, right? And it's like, bro, you get so much further by just being a cool nigga. You just get so much further. You get treated a lot better because you're just a cool person. Like, no one wants to deal with someone who's tough to deal with, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's 5 things. I think that's too many. Yeah. Like, bro, this is simple. It's a simple game, right? Mm-hmm. Do what you love. Yeah. It's another one. Make sure you do something you love so you can do it all the time and you won't be miserable. Yeah. And share. Share your resource. Share your information. Share equity. Share everything. Share everything. Everything tastes better when you share it. When you get some good ass food, the first thing you want to do is, hey, put your girl, hey, you gotta try this. It's true. Right? Why do we stop when we learn information and learn business and build things? We stop. Now all of a sudden we don't want people to try it.
What is that something that was something in your life that it wasn't shared or it took you to figure out to find that thing? Maybe it's in the industry. Was there anything hidden from you that wasn't shared? Any particular thing?
Not necessarily. I am where I am because of shared information. I was able to go on YouTube because somebody shared the information and I was able to find it. I wouldn't be where I am. I was able to read a book. Somebody shared information. I am exactly where I am because I built this backyard because my friend who had the information and the experience shared that with me.
Right. And you talked about as well of value, knowing your value. How do you know your value for people that even just anything? How do you get to that point where you know your value? If it's selling things, if it's sometimes as creators, it's hard for us to financially, just different things of value.
I don't think you ever truly know your value.
Okay.
But you know what's not representative of it, right? If a company came to you and they say, hey, we want to buy 10 of your episodes, we love your podcast, and you're already doing 1 million views and getting 100,000 streams, and they say, we're going to give you $2,000 for it. You know, you don't know what your value is, but you know for damn sure it ain't that, right? So it's just one of those things where you have to just be, it should feel good. If something comes to you and you're like, that doesn't really align, it doesn't make sense for me, then that's a clear indication. That's not it, right? Mm-hmm. So those are just things that come as you grow, and your value grows as you grow. I wasn't as valuable as I am today that I was last year, not nearly. Jeez. Right? As I grew, my value grew. I have more to offer.
Right. In the last 3 years, your following grew? Or
substantially, just in the past year.
In the past year.
Last year, we started the year off with probably about 3,000 followers.
On Instagram?
Yeah.
3,000?
In a year.
And now you're at, 500?
In a year. See, and this is not...
Wow.
I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine today, and he was like, man, this is crazy growth for an independent artist. And I was like, no, this is crazy growth for a company. Companies don't grow this fast.
Good company.
Companies in general, you could put my brand next to any companies don't grow this exponentially. Mm-hmm. To grow just 300,000 in the past 6 months, 400,000 in the past 6 months, it's
unheard
like,
of.
Right? That's the type of growth that companies come and pay a company to make happen. Yep. Right? And that's something we do well. We know how to take brands from here to here and scale them through what we do.
It's beautiful.
Right?
Yeah. What changed in your music or marketing that got you from 3,000 followers to now 500,000 and moving upwards to 1 million?
I changed.
In what ways?
I had to grow. I had to do things that I wasn't doing prior. I had to do more than I've ever done because I wanted more. I had to meet new people, bring new people in, embrace new people, build out the team grander. I had to change mentally how I see things and what I think is capable and possible for myself. Just everything. I just had to grow.
What are those practical steps that you had to take?
So, for me, increase marketing, increase content, increase productivity, being more vigilant and open, right? Sharing more, helping other people has helped me a lot. But I think in each field is different. It goes back to whatever your field is, you need to go look at who's doing great, who you love, and you need to do everything that they did.
Plus more.
Exactly.
Like we
Exactly.
So you always got to do plus more.
Exactly. Because you never want to be, I don't want to be the same as the person who set the record. I want to improve. So you got to do more. But whatever field you're in, you need to go find the experts in your field and you need to figure out what they did and you need to go do that to start, right? Because if you're not willing to do that much, we already know you're not going to be that great, right? If you're not willing to do the work that he did, then you shouldn't even expect to be nowhere near there. So for me, I looked at all of the indie artists that I was looking at coming up that was doing it right. And it's like, okay, what are they doing? Yeah. Chance is another. And beyond that, just definitely, man, he's led a way. He's never signed to a label, and he's been able to cultivate a similar thing as me, right? Just grander. Yeah, I looked at all of my peers, and then I just filled all the gaps. Like, it's not that difficult. If you know you need content, go make 100 pieces of it. If you know you need to market, go run ads, right? These are all very simple things. It's not rocket science in any form. These are simple things that you do. You know, like we've been being marketed to since we were kids through commercials. Commercials are content. If McDonald's is doing it and they make billions, what make you think you shouldn't do it and you only make hundreds, right? You have to do everything that the greats do and some.
And who are some of those greats that you? Well, I guess you just mentioned some. So
Steve Jobs, okay. Tim Cook, Sad Guru. Man, I have so many. Swami, love Swami. He's an author. Well, he's a human. He's an Indian mystic, but he writes a lot of books. Jason Wilson, Tupac, of course, Puffy, Hove. The Kendricks, the Coles, Drake's, Ye's, Walt Disney, Sam Walton, the list goes on and on.
That's good. So we know this is your headquarters. This is where you live. This is where everything happens. I mean, to backyard sessions, hundreds and hundreds of people are coming. But I want to know, how does that all tie in with your life, and how do you have a work-life balance?
I think life is work, right? They're one and the same. For me, my life is work. Like, rapping is what I do through life. Art is what I do through life naturally. So all these things aren't like work in a term of like laborious. I don't have to clock in and commute somewhere to go somewhere. Like this is my life. This is what I do. If I don't do it, then I'm kind of unfulfilled anyway. But when we're not doing those things that fully cultivate it, just riding those bikes and hooping and going for walks. Sometimes I'll walk 5 times a day, or I'll jog several times a day. Being around my family, hanging with my daughter, doing science projects and shit like that. All of that are balancing acts.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. It helps your mental health too when you're jogging and doing all that.
Definitely. Clarity.
Yeah,
Clarity.
I agree. That helps me a lot as well. You mentioned with everything you're doing, you have a lot of support from family to close friends. What would you say to those people who maybe that don't have parents who support them, don't have family to support them, or friends who believe in them?
You could either make excuses or you can make something happen, but you can't do both. There was a time where I was mixing all my own records. I was recording all of my own shit. I was running behind the camera and hitting record. I was editing, captioning, cutting all of my own shit. I'm not trying to hear none of that shit. right? You can either make excuses or you can make something happen. I spend $30,000 a month in ads because I started off spending $5. That's how you get there. If you're not willing to spend $5, you're never gonna be willing to spend $30. If you're not willing to spend $5, you're never gonna make $30. Right? You can do one or the other. We could look for problems or we could look for solutions. Whichever one you look for is the one you'll find.
Well, that was Larussell. Wow. Dropping gems after gems after gem.
We got one.
Thank you. This is jewelry.
This is jewelry. Yeah.